my name is Frank. I have been a YouTube user for the better part of 15 years. And honestly, I feel like it's about time I give back to the community for all the amazing videos that you put out there on different things, especially DIY types of things that can save you tons of money. And honestly, it has saved me a lot and give me some more confidence in opening up my vehicles and seeing what I can do to fix them. So today I'm working on a 2006 Toyota Sequoia Limited. I've had the car for probably close to 10 years, and the one thing that Toyota Sequoia owners will tell you is that the rear latch handle is a thing. It breaks down, lasts maybe 2-3 years, maybe 4 if you're lucky. Either the handle's going bad, or the cable's going bad, or the locking mechanism actuator's going bad. I've replaced all three, and I am pretty fed up with dealing with it. And so this video, I'm going to show you a fun little trick that I learned, and it's also based off of another video I saw, but I feel like mine is a little easier to deal with because there's just less work overall that you have to do to make this little fix happen. But anyway, and hope you enjoy my video, and I will be right back. Okay, so right here what you see is my old locking mechanism that failed. I will zoom in a little bit here so you can see it. It's pretty rusted out, probably an original part to the vehicle. So that's what happened this time. In the past, I've had to replace the handle that you can see over here. There are also videos online that talk about how to replace the handle and the cable and even the locking mechanism that you see here. So for this round, I ended up buying this guy off of, I think it was Amazon, for $32 or $3 a piece, I think. So I bought one of these, and I got really excited because I'm like, yes, I've got the problem fixed, because, you know, I've got a new handle, I've got a new cable, and I've got a new locking mechanism here that, you know, I figured, hey, what could go wrong? I'm going to have everything working here in about an hour or two after cracking into the vehicle. Okay, so this is where the fun starts. So I think the handle's probably okay. The locking mechanism, I'm not 100% sure. It's not a Toyota OEM mechanism. It's one that's probably from China, just like everything else. But nonetheless, it looks a lot like the original. I've even had it fitting inside my housing there that you see to the top left. So really what this is a replacement. And you have to use some of the parts from your old actuator and take them off and put them on here. And then once you have that put together, you can stick them back in the housing here. But I went ahead and did all this work. I put it back together. Putting it together was a pain in the butt. The cable kept popping out. There were all sorts of problems. Really, in the end, what I realized was the cable itself was just not the right size. It felt like it was just slightly too long. And for that very reason, I could not open the rear hatch for anything using this nice new handle. Very disappointing. You know, to have to deal with that. I even bought a second cable, same problem. Once again, it was a different size, probably too long. The one thing I have not done yet is buy the expensive cable off of the Toyota dealer site. I really just am kind of fed up. My general feeling is you know, something else is going to go wrong because I don't have complete Toyota parts here. So this is what I ended up doing to fix the problem. So if you zoom in here on this guy, you'll notice there is this fancy little mechanism here. So when you put your cable in here and fit it, when you pull the handle, this thing is going to pull back. Well, it's actually pretty tight. and the handle's pretty tight. So between a tight handle and a tight pull there on this guy, it's pretty tough. And that may be one of the reasons why it's not opening all the way. It's just too much resistance to open this guy up. So what I ended up deciding to do is something pretty fancy, and I hope you like the fix. Okay, so what I decided to do was go about this a totally different way. Bypass this handle entirely. Right here, this guy and the cable. Pretty much just don't use them. And you might ask, well, how are you supposed to open your car if you don't have these pieces connected? Well, thanks to another guy on YouTube that posted a hack about using a metal bar, I thought that was pretty genius. Honestly, I was ready to go out and buy some metal, and then I thought, you know what? There's got to be another way. And in fact, there is. It's called zip ties. And who would think that you could actually take a zip tie, poke it through this fancy little hole where the cable goes normally, take this, put it together, go like that, give it just a little bit of pull. Don't want to pull tight because then you won't have any cable left. Because I know my cable ties are not long enough, I decided to add a second one. So go ahead and do the same thing here. Just give it a little bit like so. And then if I can find my wire cutters, I can go ahead and just snip these guys right here so we don't have any excess poking out. And this guy, so it looks a little bit funky. If you happen to have a longer zip tie, you might have better luck. The other thing I've considered doing is doubling the zip tie up, but you know, for now, I feel pretty confident. The zip ties are tight. If it were to ever break, I don't feel too bad about going and putting new zip ties on for pennies, if that. So this is actually your new handle. And so what you do is you pull this guy, and you'll notice it pulls this. A little tight, but honestly, you don't have to have that full cabling mechanism all the way from the handle and dealing with any of those problems. I'll show you how easy this is to open after it's installed. Okay, but before I actually go to do the install, I just wanted to point out something that's really a pain to deal with. It's this housing that this locking mechanism actuator fits in. If anybody has dealt with this, you know it's a real pain to pull out. I would say putting it back together is even more difficult because you've got to line up these cables such that this white one comes over here and ends up here, and this other guy ends up in this other slot next to it. But you got to put them in pretty much at the same time, and that's a pain in the ass. But nonetheless, you got to be able to do that. Get it back at its housing, and then we can go on to the next step. I can show you here shortly how it's supposed to look after it's put back together. Okay, this is what things are looking like after the housing has been put back on, and that's with a lot of pain and agony and swearing to go with that, but nonetheless it's back, and this is how things are looking. You got your two electrical cables that are back in place. This is pretty centered down here, and if it's correct, these two screws here will line up with the holes, and you'll be able to get that right back together. And then of course you can see the little trick we did with the zip ties. That's in place. It might be kind of a pain to get your zip tie in there, looping it around there without with the housing on, but it looks like you could probably do it. Maybe use some pliers to pull your zip tie through. But this is what it looks like, and it still functions great. The next step is going to be to actually install this back in the vehicle, get these two cables back in, and allow this to sit outside the bottom of the vehicle. And I'll show you how that looks in here in a moment. Okay, so it's not quite installed yet, but I'm going to show you Generally what you need to do to get these zip ties to poke through, you basically pull on them, and then you'll notice that you'll have your actual lock that you pull through this hole here, and get that into place. Pull this to the side like that, because you're going to need to be pulling this direction to open it. Really the next step is to put your 3 screws on. The one thing I did notice is this plastic cover that goes on here doesn't actually stay. You might be able to drill a hole or cut out a piece here. I really don't know, but I can't really get that to stay because this cable's in the way. But it's okay, I'm willing to sacrifice this for a brand new handle. Okay, now that we've got our Sequoia put back together, let's go ahead and test this bad boy out and see exactly what we've done. So you'll notice right here, if you put your fingers, you've got your zip tie that you attach to your locking mechanism. And so you're going to want to make sure you have enough of this zip tie here that you can grab onto with your finger or two and pull. So the direction that you're going to want to pull is to your left, because that is the direction the locking mechanism wants to go. Just think about if you were pulling your handle here, your cable would stretch this direction and it would also pull this direction, opening the latch. And so you want to mimic that by pulling to the left. You'll pretty much kill your hand or otherwise destroy the zip tie if you struggle with it the other direction. It just makes it so easy. You can do it with one finger, just like that, and it's open. Pretty cool. You'll close it again, try your handle, you'll be like, oh crud, it doesn't work, but then you'll remember you did something really cool and you attach this little guy down here to, in theory, never have to deal with replacing this guy or the associated cable that goes with it. And so yanking that just like that, and it's back open, and you're feeling pretty good about life, because now you can open up your Sequoia, and probably one of the biggest problems with the Sequoia has now been resolved. And anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it's been informative. Yeah, I say good luck and enjoy your brand new handle.